Hi, my name is Avanti Davis, and I am currently on my way to becoming a certified hypnotherapist. And I am here to help you create the life of your dream. And today we're going to be talking about how to use sleep to manifest the life you always wanted. So, sleep is extremely vital for our lives. In fact, getting absolutely no sleep could result in death. After a certain amount of time without sleeping, your mind will begin to hallucinate, and your brain will force you to go to sleep because sleep is so vital for our lives. Meaning that sleep is something that we all experience at some point during the day. And we can utilize sleep to help reprogram our subconscious mind. So first, let's jump into the neuroscience of it all. So there is a state that our brain enters every time right before going to sleep. And this is called the hypnagogia state. So the hypnagogia state is in between being awake and being asleep. So you're not completely unconscious yet, but your conscious mind is so dormant. And the reason why this state is so important is because our brains enter the theta brainwave state. The theta brainwave state is where the conscious mind is dormant. So it isn't analyzing any information, it isn't applying logic to anything, and it allows your subconscious mind to be wide open to receiving information. So this is a perfect time to reprogram that subconscious with new beliefs, new habits, new thoughts. And what's amazing about this is we enter this state every single time we go to sleep. So why not use it to our advantage? Notice how hypnagogia uses the same prefix as hypnosis. That is because they are similar. Both are utilizing the theta brainwave state in order to reprogram the subconscious mind. So this is such a perfect way to utilize a moment where the conscious mind isn't intellectualizing information. It's providing no resistance to information that you're giving it, which will allow the subconscious mind to be reprogrammed. So there's a prominent man named Neville Goddard, and he is super popular in the spiritual community because he was a master manifester, and he is often referred to as the father of the law of assumption, which is just assume it to be true and it will be. And he actually used the hypnagogia state in his practices, and he taught his students it as well. And what he called it was SATS, and that's an acronym for state akin to sleep. So he coined that term, state akin to sleep, and he taught his students how to utilize it in order to manifest. So he ended up giving his students an experiment, and this was called the ladder experiment. And he instructed them to visualize themselves climbing a ladder every night before going to sleep. So they would get in their bed, they would get comfortable, they would lie down, and as they're drifting off to sleep, they would imagine themselves climbing up a ladder. And then, and this is the coolest part, he had them affirm all day that they were not going to climb a ladder. Now, the reason he did that was to show how powerful that sleep state is. Because once something has seeped into your subconscious mind, it hardens into fact. And he knew that. And he wanted to prove that to his students. Because it is one thing to learn about manifesting. It's one thing to hear these videos and to listen to them and to consume content. And it's another thing to witness it yourself and really feel the true power of being the creator of your reality. And he knew that. And he wanted his students to feel what it was like to consciously and intentionally manifest. So his students did the experiment. Another thing he did was he told his students to actively avoid ladders during the day. So this was just another implementation within the experiment to show the students how powerful it is to utilize this sleep state. And of course, it was about a 90% success rate because everything trumps the subconscious beliefs. Neuroscientists have found that 90% of our lives is created from our subconscious, meaning that all those beliefs, habits, behaviors, thoughts that you have programmed within the subconscious specifically is what you will experience throughout your life. And even if you're saying the opposite thing with your conscious mind, as the students were. They were saying that they weren't going to climb a ladder. They were told to avoid ladders. It doesn't matter, because the subconscious is that powerful and it is that strong. And that is where creation begins, within that subconscious mind. That is why some people don't have success rates with their manifestations, because they've been fed this false information on the internet that just says, affirm, think good thoughts, be positive. When truly the root of it all is, no one can manifest something that isn't a programmed subconscious belief. That is where manifestation happens. And that is why the subconscious mind is the most important factor when it comes to creating the life that you want. There's also a man by the name of Carl Jung, and he was a Swiss psychiatrist and psychoanalyst. And he was quoted saying, "Human creativity stems from conscious access to underlying unconscious forces." He believed that the conscious mind and the subconscious mind has a bridge, and that bridge is necessary for human creation. His work has profoundly shaped modern psychology and the understanding of the creative process. So there's been many prominent figures throughout history who use this hypnagogia state as a means to create. Salvador Dali, who is a famous painter who created these surreal, whimsical, dreamlike paintings that became very popular, that we still see today. And the method that he used was, he would sit in a chair and he would have a key, and he would have a plate sitting on the floor next to him. So he would hold the key either in his hand, I believe, and he would lay and he would relax, attempt to go to sleep. And at the moment where he would begin to drift off to sleep, he would drop the key, not intentionally, just as a result of starting to become unconscious, and then he would wake up. He would do this over and over again, and as a result, he was able to capture those images that he would get between this state of being awake and unconscious. And he would materialize those visualizations in his paintings. Some other famous individuals who also utilized this hypnagogia state was Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein, Thomas Edison, the famous inventor, and Edgar Allan Poe, the famous poet and writer. So there's so many examples of people using the hypnagogia state or state akin to sleep in order to manifest things in their life. So now that we went over the science of it, how it works, why it works, now let's get into what to do. So the method is very simple. You can visualize a scene or you can visualize an image. And if it is a scene, typically you don't want it to be too long, because you don't want it to prevent you from falling asleep. You don't want to make the process harder than what it needs to be. A few seconds of a scene is good enough, or it can be an image as well. And all you do is, when you're going to bed at night and you close your eyes, you just picture that scene or that image. That's it. And the idea is that you carry that scene to sleep. And what happens is that when you do that, your mind loops this scene over and over again throughout your entire sleep cycle. And this is helping it to impress into the subconscious mind for it to be accepted as a new belief. It's important to know that your mind does not know the difference between reality and imagination. And so if your brain is processing this image, it doesn't know whether it's happening in this physical world or if it's just happening in the mind. And when you think about it, the brain is what processes information. That's all it is just a processor. So if it's just processing the information can look the same in your mind, it can look the same in the reality, and it doesn't have to know the difference. It just knows that it exists. It exists, whether it exists out here, whether it exists in here, to the mind it exists. So it's real to the mind regardless. You want to do this every night. Why not? Do you want a new life? Do you want to create the life of your dreams? Do you want to experience better things? Don't you want that money? Don't you want that health? Don't you want that family? Don't you want that wife or that husband? Don't you want that success? Don't you want that career? Don't you want that car? Don't you want that house? Why not? The world is at your fingertips. You have everything that you need within you. Why not utilize it? We are blessed to have this state every time we enter sleep. Why not use it? It's costing you nothing. It costs you nothing to at least just attempt an experiment. And just like any tool or any practice, the more that you do it, the better you will get at it. Because oftentimes you may find yourself losing focus. You may find your thoughts drifting to something else. That happens. The best thing to do is to just remain consistent. Another thing to do to prevent that is begin meditating throughout the day. It can be 5 minutes, it can be 10, 15, 20. What that does is it trains your mind to remain focused on one thing, and you will build up this muscle of being able to focus on something at an extended period of time. So meditating is a great method to strengthen that in your brain. And then also you could also use some sort of variation of the key and the plate method, where you are holding something, and at the moment where you are unconscious enough to feel that thing drop, what happens is that you're still very much so drowsy and half asleep, and it will give you a moment to think of that scene again right before completely drifting off. So that's another method that could be utilized. But the best thing to do is just to remain consistent, just like with anything. It's important to keep in mind that a lot of us have carried beliefs that aren't serving our highest good, that aren't benefiting us. And so those old beliefs are very ingrained into our subconscious. We believe those and have accepted those as truths in our lives. And so sometimes it can take effort in order to reprogram with the new belief. Again, I don't like to place limits on people. It can happen overnight. The point is that the subconscious mind opens us up to a field of infinite possibilities, and we have to know how to use it. Because if we're not using it for ourselves, it is very likely that someone else is using it against us. And that is what I'm here for, to help us realize the power that we have within. We all have God within us. The possibilities are limitless. We are limitless beings, and we have the ability to create whatever it is that we want. And I believe genuinely and wholeheartedly, every single billionth person on this planet has the capability to live the life that they dream of, if only they knew how to create it. And that's what I'm here to teach. So I thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend, share on your social media, anybody who needs to hear this information. I would really, really appreciate it. And let me know what your thoughts are. And thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for the next one.